So as much as I give y'all the dirt on being an adjuster, I have to give you guys the good side and the things that I've learned from being an adjuster.
You in the past, I'm in the future. You mad, they don't salute you. I need a bag.
Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Keela Trishan and I make videos on lifestyle, insurance, and mental health. I also do vlogs, day in the life in the insurance industry, day in the life with a toddler, all the things. So if that's something that interests you, go on ahead and click that subscribe button below and be sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything from me. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and thank you for your support. Okay, so if you watch any of my vlogs, you know I try to keep it all the way 100 about what my day-to-day looks like. A lot of days, I'm asking myself, how did I get here? What did I do in life to end up here? But what I cannot take away from like doing this position is the fact that I have learned a lot of life skills, a lot of like coping mechanisms and stuff, and just kind of ways to communicate with people that are kind of, I would say, irreplaceable, that are priceless. So I definitely want to share some of that with you guys today. I'm just going to go over some of the things that I feel like I have, if not learned as an adjuster, things that I've been able to work on and tighten up as an adjuster. So if you are interested, if you're thinking about going into this industry, if you're curious, or honestly, if you're an adjuster and want to see if we kind of have learned the same things, definitely go on ahead and stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing that I feel like I've been able to kind of tighten up on, like being an adjuster, is learning how to have tough conversations calmly. So I feel like I've always been a pretty good communicator. I have been working in customer service for like over 20 years, which I've told you guys in various videos. But I feel like specifically with being an adjuster, because you have the task of like either affording coverage or denying coverage, depending on what the situation is, you get really good practice at like having conversations with people that you know aren't going to be comfortable. You know, there's a possibility that that person may cut you out or, you know, just simply not be happy. And like, there's really nothing you can do to fix it, but just simply try to empathize and offer them other, like maybe discounts on services and stuff. You learn how to have those conversations very thoughtfully. I feel like it's important to be able to like try to understand where the other person's coming from while also standing firm. One thing I feel like I've done in the past is like I've kind of, because I wasn't confident in having the conversation, sometimes the way I would deliver the information would seem as if there might be like another alternative, you know, to maybe giving coverage or whatever. But in this position, I'm able to empathize and I'm able to be nice to people while still standing firm on the decision that was made. Also, it's essentially just kind of showing people like how to interpret their coverages, I guess, in this position. Like you can't just say yes to everything, and it's similar to like any customer service job. You can't just say yes to everything just to please people. Rules are rules. So learning how to have those conversations where people understand where you're coming from, making them understand that you're not trying to minimize what they're going through, and you're not trying to just like be the bad guy. It's just certain things that are just outside of your scope. So having those conversations has become easier. They're still tough, but they've become easier like doing this position because you do get a lot of practice. If you are struggling in that area, speaking of, I do have a video that I did a few weeks ago and I'll tag it here somewhere, but it's like basically how to deliver bad news to customers. And it's some of the things that I do that help me to be able to deliver those like tough conversations. So yeah, working in this position has given me a lot of skills, a lot of language, a lot of practice, and how to have tough conversations with people not only at work, but even outside of work. Okay, so another thing that I have learned, like being an adjuster and just kind of doing this job for so many years, is how what I do or don't do can affect the rest of the process. So to kind of put it in insurance terms, I've told you guys a lot, like as a field adjuster for the homeowner's property department, I work with a lot of vendors. So I work with mitigation vendors, I work with contractors, I even work with internal departments like subrogation and SIU. So there are some things that they need from me in order for them to move forward with their process. So I'll go on ahead and use water mitigation, for example. There are a lot of times where they need the coverage from me. They need me to confirm that there is coverage on this particular claim in order for them to move forward with their work. So if I'm lagging on that, if I am, you know, just like not organized, if I'm not timely, then that could set back the whole process. Meaning, like if I don't give them approval in time, if there is coverage, there could be secondary damage. Like because I let it sit for so many days, there's now mold, or you know, the person maybe like going out of town, so they need this done within a couple of days, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of, I guess, holding yourself accountable, making sure that you do what you need to do so the whole machine can run. It's similar to like other departments. There are some times where I can't move until I get something from a customer, or I can't move until I get something from another department. So for me, it's just like understanding like how what I do can affect others, which also helps me in my personal life. Like there are certain things that I know if I don't do for my son, it's going to affect him at school, or my husband is going to affect him at work. So just understanding how I work. Understanding how my process can affect others' process has been like something that's really kind of brought to the forefront in working this position, and something that I've learned a lot of just doing the job and being responsible for certain pieces moving. Okay, so the third thing that I feel like I have learned in working this position, not really just this position, like other customer service roles, but I feel like this position specifically because of all the moving parts, is how to communicate with a bunch of different personalities. I feel like I've kind of touched on this in other videos, but I am a person that's very, for the most part, I'm very polite, very bubbly if I'm, in a good mood. And I get thrown aback when other people aren't like that. But working this job has made me understand that like just because somebody isn't bubbly like me doesn't mean that they have an attitude, or it doesn't mean that they are odd, or anything. Not saying I thought people are odd, but sometimes I would get uncomfortable if like someone didn't have the same energy I did. It's just gotten me comfortable with like dealing with different personality types and what this personality type might need to open up, what this personality type might need to do whatever. So I think I've talked about a lot with like dealing with different generations. There are some generations of people that enjoy talking on the phone. Like a lot of my older customers, they enjoy talking on the phone. Some of them don't even have an email. So I have to be mentally prepared to speak with them on the phone when I hate talking on the phone personally. Like I don't mind like if it's a distant relative here and there talking on the phone, but I have to get comfortable with like, look, this information might need to be delivered on the phone. Or even when you're having tough conversations, those type of things need to be done over the phone. And then just understanding like people's communication styles, as far as like, do they want me to be extremely direct with them, do they want me to kind of baby them in how I give them the information, things like that. So yeah, this position gives you the opportunity to kind of like deal with different cultures, you deal with different personality types, you deal with different people with different needs. So I feel like you get exposed to a lot of the same type of personality types, and if you are kind of like stuck in a bubble, or if you only deal with the same people, you may not get that exposure. Working in insurance, and especially working in claims, you're going to get a chance to deal with kind of like a little bit of everybody. So I feel like that's been helpful in my personal life too, because I could meet anybody anywhere, and I feel like I could figure out a way to communicate and get along in a way that works for the both of us. So yeah, definitely made me I guess more well versed in dealing with different personality types. Okay, so these last two are a little more insurance specific, but the fourth thing that I've learned just doing this job is how to properly interpret the policy. Now, I think, first of all, most folks are not sitting there looking through and reading their policy like front to back. I'm not even reading the policy front to back. I just know where to find the information that I need for whatever claim it is, or whatever. So the way this has helped me is sometimes with policy language it can be a little confusing, and sometimes how I may interpret it may be different than the way someone else interprets it. So I feel like in this position I've been able to kind of speak the language as an insurance company, because I've had to do this several times. Like the most basic example I can give is rental coverage. I think it does say this in the actual policy, but then sometimes when the agent is explaining it to the customer, it doesn't always come off the same way. So basically, with rental, typically on a policy, you'll get up to 30 days at whatever allotment you choose: $25, $35, $45 a day, whatever. What people don't realize is that that 30 days only comes into play if your vehicle is repairable, and your vehicle, let's say like it's going to take more than 30 days to, take care of it, or it's going to take up to that 30 days. And that is what that clause is for. Now, if your vehicle is deemed a total loss and the insurance company is going to pay you for the vehicle, they're not going to adhere to that full 30 days. They typically will cut it off like maybe 3 to 7 days after they present that total loss settlement to you. And a lot of people don't realize that. So for me, it's very helpful, because even if, God forbid, I have a claim or something, or claims I've had in the past, I can look at the policy and like now pinpoint like where something, occurred. If something were to ever happen where I would need my insurance, I could go to my policy, pull it up, see exactly what I need to see if I'm gonna have coverage or if I'm not gonna have coverage, or if I'm gonna have to, try to negotiate something. So I think it is a valuable skill to have to be able to interpret your own policy. I'm not saying that it's like a vital skill, but it is helpful, especially because you are required to have insurance. So yeah, that has been something that is priceless. Like even if I stop working for insurance, I can read a policy like nobody's business, okay? Okay, so the fifth thing that I have learned working in the insurance industry is how to properly investigate. So this can be for all different walks of life. A lot of times, there may be questions that you need to figure out the answers to, and you can't take all the information at face value. You have to know what questions to ask, you have to know where to look, things like that. So I'm going to go on ahead and use water losses as an example. In the beginning, when I first started doing claims, like a lot of times I would just kind of look at things at face value, like, okay, so you had a pipe leak. Okay, cool. So, what was damaged, the second, third. When in actuality, I need to be saying, okay, you had a pipe leak. Cool. Where did the pipe leak? How did you discover it? Who found it? That kind of stuff. Have you had it addressed? All these types of things. So I feel like that's helpful, like in your personal life too. Like if you're trying to get to the bottom of something, or if you're trying to just figure out anything, even if it has to do with, let's say, like health. Like a lot of us end up taking care of our parents, as they get older and stuff. So sometimes you need like concrete information to know how you're going to take care of them. So when you're talking to your doctor, asking them, okay, what's the doses of medication? Why are they taking this medication? Who was supposed to deliver it? Like that kind of stuff. So I feel like working as a claims adjuster makes you so much better at listening, like active listening, not listening to respond, but listening to actually gather the information and form a thoughtful response back. I know for me, when I am investigating claims and I'm asking customers questions, again, this might be a broken record if you watch my videos before, but when I'm investigating claims, I'm asking customers questions, I'm letting them answer, and then depending on how they answer will determine my next question. So I am actively like doing this with them. I don't necessarily have a template, it's just I kind of learned it, as I go along, based on what I know of claims. So yeah, it makes you a very good investigator in different types of scenarios. All right, you guys, so that is all that I have for you today. I was just thinking, like, you know what? The last couple of vlogs I've done have been kind of on a negative side because, as I've shared with you guys, it's just a lot going on at work, which I know I'm not the only one. I know some of you guys have situations at work where you're like, oh my God, am I going to continue to do this? Like, this is stressful, all that stuff. But I can't negate the fact, and I do want to give the industry credit for like providing us employees with these invaluable skills. I do feel like a lot of these skills are transferable to other jobs. Like there are jobs that I never thought that I would qualify for that I could definitely apply for now, just having the experience that I have. And again, I think a lot of these skills can transfer over into your personal life as well. Like I just feel like a more mature individual, and I feel like someone like I'm not afraid to learn. I'm always willing to learn, and I'm always asking questions, and a lot of that I can attribute to being an adjuster for so many years. So if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, if you were just entertained, definitely go on ahead and click the like button. That really, really helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you have not already subscribed and you made it this far, definitely go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Be sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything from me. And with that being said, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.
You mad that they don't salute you. I need a bag, size is super. They turned your bag, it's like I